Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Goon Dude here as always. First off, I want to address we had a bit of an audio issue last episode that we noticed in post. We seem to have that working today, which is a major plus, so you'll actually hear game sounds, not just for the last 2 minutes of the video. So on to today's topic. Today we're going to be starting our transition into carrier warfare. And we're going to start with some torpedo bombing, and then probably next episode will be level bombing of a carrier, moving into actual using of a carrier. So today, we are going to be off the coast of V97, A89 on, what map is this? Crater MA by Grebo. This is one of the older maps. It's been updated since its initial coming out. So we have positioned a bishop task group, if I can, there it is, right there beside us. This is unreasonably close. However, it does happen online that we get groups this close. We are in an offline arena today. I have also edited some of the anti-aircraft gun settings through the arena setup options, just so we can track the torpedoes easier without being instantly shot down by flying into the task group. So we're going to go over to A89 and we're going to launch a torpedo bomber. Alright everyone, here we are at A89 in the hangar. Currently I have set up the B5N2 American codename Kate torpedo bomber. It is equipped with the infamous Type 91 torpedo, what is known as the most deadly Japanese torpedo of the Second World War. The G4M1 Betty is also equipped with this torpedo. The KI-67 has a torpedo on it as well, but it's not marked as a Type 91. I'm not fully familiar with every Japanese torpedo of the Second World War, so it could be a Type 91 or not. It could just be a text error on the part of High Tech Creations. The other torpedo equipped aircraft in game are going to be the Ju-88, which has two of them mounted on the center line, or just straddling the center line, as well as the Heinkel 111 also has two in the same configuration. And the only American torpedo bomber we have in game is the TBM-3 Avenger, which was also the level bomber, if you will, for the carrier air groups. Today we will be using the Ju-88 as it is my preferred torpedo bomber. So let's get in the air and we'll talk a little bit as we approach the carrier. So here we are about 1,000 feet in the air, flying out of A89. We're going to start looking for that enemy CV. Now we know from sitting on it before that it's right next to C-35 on the map. So let's see if we can see it visually. In this particular Ju-88, we have it equipped with the flexible front gun mount, so this gun does wiggle around, so you can actually manually shoot with it. There is also an option in the hangar for it to be a fixed front, in which case you can't do that. That's why it's a fixed front. Okay, so I'm not finding it visually, and now looking, oh, I'm too far south. Let's turn towards the target. So the most effective way to hit with torpedoes is not to come from the broadside. Torpedoes are slow. Whether you're in a patrol boat in the ocean or you're taking it from an aircraft, the torpedo is slow. So plotting a true intercept point for that, you have to aim very far ahead in order to lead your target properly. So coming in at more of a 45-degree degree, 45-degree angle, maybe even a 60-degree 60-degree angle from the front of the ship, 60-degree 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 is known to be more effective. So after about another couple of minutes of searching, I have found our carrier group and the one that we're attacking. So we're going to come in slightly like this, pretty much aim directly for the cruiser to begin with, the front ship in the group. And the deal with torpedoes in game is going to be under 200 knots and under 200 feet. So normally you're going to want to be as close to the water as possible, but I'm going to come in closer to 200 to take advantage of the extra airspeed we have, so that the torpedo, will go farther in the air. Now, right now you see the auto axe starts firing. This is when you would normally want to launch your torpedo. However, we're now finally below speed. We're gonna select our torpedoes, drop both, and throttle up. Now, I didn't change my salvo there. I should have done 1 and 1 to get a bit of a spread. However, I forgot that. So now you can see what I mean by I changed the auto axe settings. All I did was I nerfed the damage that it does. Because flying through this normally, we would have been dead 10 times over. So we're doing this just so we can fly around in a circle in a second and find our torpedo and watch it hit. So let's do that. Okay, as you can see, I do have drones enabled. I had it flying as a formation. And look at that, we hit. We got the message first in the chat buffer. Didn't get to watch it, unfortunately. That is how much lead you need to be giving these torpedoes, and that's coming at a 45-degree angle. You always want to drop your torpedoes initially once you get in auto-ack range. Once you see the bulk of the guns firing is when you need to be dropping. Alright. I will meet you guys on the carrier, and we'll just discuss some basic carrier knowledge, and then we'll call it an episode, if that sounds like a plan. See you guys in a minute. Okay. We're back. We're aboard C-35. The carriers in the task groups in game are modeled after the Essex class carriers built in the late war era. We also have destroyers that are Fletcher class destroyers and Baltimore class cruisers. This presented an issue chronologically earlier in the game's history when the online arenas were split between early, mid, and late war. Early war being pre-1939 aircraft and vehicles, mid-war being 1939 to 1943, and late war being 1943 and beyond. The eras were successive, so if there was a plane that was available in the early war, you could get it in the mid and late war, because the plane would still be around. However, all of the carrier groups then were all models of late war carrier groups, which makes sense because having to model different carrier groups for different war periods for a game that was this complicated at the time would have been extremely difficult for them to do and do accurately. So let's go take a look at each boat's batteries. Now, when I say batteries, I don't mean batteries as in what powers your cell phone. We're talking gun batteries. So our Baltimore class cruisers that we have modeled have 3 triple 8-inch 50 caliber guns. For a look, so we can see how they are and how they operate, they are easily controlled by mouse or joystick, and they have different gunnery modes that we will go through in a later episode. Now, our Fletcher class destroyers have 5-inch main batteries. They are singles, so there's only one barrel. And every 5-inch gun, despite the ship it's on, whether it's a carrier, a destroyer, a cruiser, And whether it's a single barrel or a twin barrel, they're all multi-purpose guns. They have both high explosive rounds, which are great for anti-ship as well as shore bombardment, and they have armor piercing for anti-aircraft. Now, the armor-piercing rounds have a proximity fuse, so if they get close to an aircraft, it will just explode. You do not need to get a direct hit on the aircraft. Now, in some of the newer maps, they have modeled the Iowa-class battleships, and their carrier groups, quote-unquote, consist of one Iowa class, and I believe one destroyer as well. All right, let's move to the Essex class aircraft carriers we have. They have no true main offensive battery because their offensive battery, if you will, are the aircraft that they carry. But they do have defensive armaments. They have 5-inch 38 caliber guns that are in twin mounts on either side of the conning tower, in addition to 20mm singles and 40mm quad guns. The 20 singles and 40 quads can also be found on the cruiser, and 40mm twins in place of quads on the destroyers. All of these are different anti-aircraft guns. Now, what you see here are just the manned gun positions, what the players can get into. Each ship also has automated positions. So, notice how there's two 5-inch 38 caliber mounts there? One of them is an auto gun, one of them is a manned gun. Alright, back in the tower. So, when an aircraft carrier is injured but not fully destroyed, its conning tower will be lit aflame. That's also how we know that its radar is down, because the conning tower houses all of the radar in these ships. Beyond that, we'll look at some actual harnesses quick. The barges are the supply barges that go into bases, which I'm not 100% certain are still a part of the game since the update from Aces High 2 to 3. What we're looking for is ship. Now, ship shown here is what it takes to sink a destroyer. The carriers and the cruisers do take more. They are just as limited by the factory settings if we were to kill the factories as land bases, because they can't resupply as well. Well, that's going to bring us to the close of this episode. As we move forward, we'll begin to work further and further on and off the carrier, focusing on other ways to take them down, and eventually how to take off and how to land and how to utilize the guns and the different gun modes. I hope everyone has a good rest of their day. Goondude, signing off.